What it is, what it do, what it is. It is the one, the only, the Grizz. Your boy haven't posted in a minute. Been doing a lot. Got a lot on my plate. Going to school. Still full-time single dad. Working 9 to 5. Going to the gym. Just working on overall improvement. There isn't a lot of time in my day to create content. But one thing I will say is I still make sure there is time to play some video games and to keep y'all updated and myself updated really with a little bit of news. So I'm not camera ready. Everything ain't set up. I just wanted to cut this PC on and hit record so I could talk about what's been going on in the industry over the last month or two or so. So I can't even tell you straight off the jump how long this is going to be, but this is probably one of those one-man type podcast videos. And of course in the background I'll have you some lush gameplay across a few different video games, the video games that I have played. And I'm going to save that section for another, that's going to be a different section, but I've been playing games, that's for damn sure. But let's go ahead and start off with the first thing, Nintendo. So I just want to get off my chest how I felt about it and how I felt about everybody's reaction to it. And as you know, I keeps it a buck. I keep it real over here. I'm not about to give y'all no bullshit. I was one of those people that wanted the Nintendo Switch 2 to be just that, the Nintendo Switch 2. More of what the Nintendo Switch is. Because when the Nintendo Switch came out, loved it. When the OLED came out, loved it. And then when the Steam Deck came out, I absolutely fell in love with that. So I'm all in on the hybrid system, the more powerful handheld systems. And then when I seen the Nintendo Switch 2, I was just sitting there nodding my head in acceptance because I'm like, yeah, this is what I wanted. Plus it's some of that, a spin on some Nintendo shit spin on there. Like that camera is whatever. What is that? I'm not gonna complain because I know damn well I'm gonna get it. People got online and they complained about whatever their interpretation of what Nintendo said. Now maybe Nintendo could have been a little bit more clear on certain things, but they wanted to go ahead and spread that information around. They started having Treehouse Lives and there's gonna be more directs. Some people are saying that the Nintendo Switch it costs too much. The base Nintendo Switch 1 is $300, right? And with the Nintendo Switch 2 being more powerful than that, with extra features, a bigger screen, a bigger system in general, magnetic Joy-Cons, why can't it be $450? And they announced that being the price, knowing that tariffs was about to hit. They didn't say anything about a price increase. Everybody was mad about that. But now it's like they forgot about it because some other stuff got announced as of the recording of this video. A lot of people were saying, how dare they try to make Mario Kart $80? Everybody hates Nintendo, but they be the first to do something. Everybody hates them then, but then when everybody else follows, suddenly they forgot about Nintendo. But nobody wants to apologize to Nintendo because y'all jumped the gun. Video games cost money to make, as well as the technology, R&D, just the people who are researching it, then the people who are putting it together. All of this stuff is you break down, it costs millions and millions of dollars. You got to buy the technology, you got to pay the people. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like as consumers, we don't give them enough credit, right? And I'm not saying, the big corporation bad. Yeah, I guess here and there. But Nintendo was kind of always fair with it. Because if Nintendo's going to charge you a wild price for something, they're going to make sure you get your bang for your buck, right? I don't want nobody bringing up Wii U situations, because If you bought it, you bought it. But if you got a Wii U, you kind of enjoyed the Wii U. The library was lacking, but the Wii U was still a decent system, and it was starting to get up there in power. And now the Switch 2 is getting up there in power, and they want to pay for it. They want y'all to pay for it. And if you want a discount on Mario Kart, you just pay $50 more than the regular bundle without any games, and you're saving a couple dollars. But people are talking about, why is Mario Kart World $80? Maybe the game cost them $150 to $250 million to make, because it's a completely open world Mario game now, where you can drive between races and explore the world around it, or do Grand Prix, so you can just drive all around the whole world and drive to the next races and stuff like that. They put money into this. People just think because the game looks a certain way that it doesn't cost a certain amount of money. And I think, we need to move away from that. I remember when cell shaded games really was getting popular. I remember even all the way back on the PS2. I can only think, matter of fact, the Beautiful Joe and Samurai Musashi Legend. No, what's this one called? I think it's Musashi Samurai Legend. That's on PS2, and that actually got my attention. And they started doing that with various JRPGs, but PS3, Xbox 360 era is when they did Borderlands. People say, oh, it looks like kids, and it looks like it's for kids because it's cell shaded, and I don't like that look. It's okay to not like the look, but you also got to realize that animation in general is a very, very costly thing, and all of that little stuff to just make Mario look like an anime character, but he's still doing like realistic physics. All of that stuff costs money. The software costs money, the time costs money, and you got to pay the people. That's just what it is, right? It is what it is. And then at the end of the day, you can decide if you want to buy it or not. So the next thing is people having issues with these game key cards. But you don't realize that the game key card idea has been around, right? So basically, let me explain to you what the game key card thing is. Game key cards are basically cartridges that you put in your system, but then you download the rest of the game. Now, Nintendo decided to do this. Well, I don't know if they've completely made it abundant, but it is kind of clear, because it's actually working, is that you still get this game on your Switch, and without it being just a code in the box. You get a key card, you put it in the system, and you download the rest of the game. But you can still trade this game, you can still loan it to someone, and they download the rest of the game. They have access to the game. But people didn't like the idea because it was actually explained to them. Whereas where it's on the PS5 and the Xbox Series, that's exactly what happens to a lot of games. Them Call of Duty games, when you buy them physically, they be like 30 megabytes on the disc, and then you download the rest of the game. That's infuriating. But this is what has come of modern gaming. But now that Nintendo's doing it up front, and they're actually addressing it and saying what it is, you don't even realize that you've been experiencing this for a while. And so everybody also thought that Mario Kart would be, well, physical games would be $90. It's not. $80 for the digital, $80 for the physical. That's what it is. And people need to understand that they've been talking about this right in front of our faces, and we've been ignoring it, that games can cost up to $100. And you know what kills me? A lot of y'all complain about a base game being $80 to $90 or whatever, when y'all been buying $100 to $150 editions of games since the Xbox One PS4 era. Y'all don't just buy the basic games, but because you're getting charged for what you was going to probably pay anyway, you don't like it. I'm just calling y'all out, and even myself out in some instances, to where y'all need to understand what y'all talking about. Y'all need to understand what's in front of y'all, and pay attention to the wording and things like that. Because if you go and pay $150 for the deluxe edition and it's everything quote unquote in there, what's the difference from an $80 game? Where Mario Kart World might have a lot of content that would have been in like a $120 version. Only thing is, you'd have probably got a steelbook case, or maybe a little metal statue, or a keychain. So what? Are you here to play games because you enjoy games? Because if you are, you would support whatever. Doom is coming out on Game Pass, but I still plan on buying a physical version on PS5. Why? Because Doom is one of my favorite franchises. One of my favorite franchises as far as first-person shooters go. I'm going to support what I love. Played Doom Eternal, played Doom 2016. I beat Doom 2016 twice. Once on the Xbox, once on the Nintendo Switch. You just gotta support what you love. And I understand the initial knee-jerk reaction, but maybe we need to just zip our mouths up and sit back and think before we speak. Because maybe there's a reason behind it. I'm not saying we can't question certain stuff. I'm not saying we can't address certain stuff. It's just about how we respond. I happen to be on Twitter a lot and I pay attention to gaming news, but I also try to go in there with it in my mind of Twitter is a cesspool for absolute nonsense. Trolls and foolish people who like to start random arguments and just random points that just really aren't there and creating it, and then knowing that there is a lot of people that are going to see these tweets and just follow or just eat it up and just keep going on with their own narrative. I think the Switch 2 is just definitely going to be a success. I don't plan on getting it at launch because at this point and just the way the world is, I don't know if I'll ever want to get another system right away at launch. Just because of all the rush, the bots, the scalpers, I kind of want to let stuff get away from that. If I can get one, I'll take it. But man, I don't want to have to deal with that, because I remember when I was trying to get a PS5, it was like a 3-month long battle of just me trying to get one, and that was stressful. And then when I was getting the Xbox Series X, I could only get it if I found it in like one of those. The Series X was $500, but I had to get like a $750 bundle because it came with an extra controller and a headset. Definitely gave that headset for use because it conked out on me. It don't even work no more. I was using and abusing that headset. I got my use out of that. But man, just you need to understand, gaming is an expensive hobby. I don't know many hobbies that aren't expensive. Another one of my favorite hobbies is to collect vinyl. If I sit down and I go to a vinyl store and I know they got hits upon hits upon hits, it's gonna run me up a few bucks. The average vinyl could cost between like $35 to $50. Now imagine if I go ahead and get 6 of those. You do the math. If you love the hobby, you support the hobby, and that's just straight up. That's is what it is. Okay? So let's move on to another topic. Let's talk about GTA, right? It's coming out next May. I understand the anticipation for GTA 6. I'm not a GTA fan myself. I do appreciate watching videos of these Rockstar games, but I don't really like playing them as much. Because one, as I always speak about on this channel, is I'm not the big open world fan. And the Rockstar games tend to have way too much going on in those worlds for me, and all the things that you do, and I don't really know how to just play the main story. I'm definitely going to deviate, and it's just I'll never finish it. I'm not, I respect it. I respect the fan base, and I respect just what it is. So I mean, I understand people's frustrations with it, but once again, to play advocate here, it costs mad money. Last I heard, it was tracking to be about $300 million to make. You got to let them cook. You can't invest something like that crazy and not expect to let them cook. I'm glad they're giving it pretty much a whole year and then some to actually cook more, because we didn't really see gameplay, but we saw some clips and it looked like it was in engine. Let them cook. Let them cook. And what I will say is, not being a big fan of this, I'm going to end it with this. Y'all better be ready to spend that $100. Because what if they're waiting another year to see if Nintendo can get away with making people pay $80 and, games just going up to like $80 in general? What if they're using that to be like, all right, maybe we can get away with this and just release the base version of it to be $100? I know initially that's going to piss a lot of people off, but boy, just like Nintendo, y'all gonna buy it anyway. Let's just keep it real. Y'all got y'all rights to complain, but why complain if you know you're gonna buy it anyway? That's like knowing a stove is hot and you're gonna get burned, and you just keep walking in there and getting burned and complaining that you're getting burned. At least if you know you're gonna get burned, walk around with some burn cream. All right. You know you're gonna get, because you know you're gonna have to pay that price. So you just take the L and accept accountability that you and your love for this expensive hobby is costing you bread. Don't be mad at the developers for trying to make some of their bread back, some of that $300 million back. GTA 5 is still selling, and I don't remember which game was ahead of it, but it's like the second or third, maybe, like best-selling game ever. It's like over 100 and some odd million copies sold. It's a juggernaut. And if you know you have to put something out like that to follow that, you got to take your time. But at least the world know it truly exists and to see where it's going. So let's bear with them. And I will end this section with this. If it does come out and it's not good or it has issues, y'all got y'all right to get on their cases, especially if this game is going to cost like $100. But I am so interested in seeing where this is going to go. Straight up. And now I want to end this with this last thing, right? I want to talk about this shit with Xbox, because oh my goodness, I'm so glad I got a Series X. And I also want to call out a lot of you fake people talking shit and talking about some, oh, I was just about to get one. No, you wasn't. These shits go on sale pretty often. And I'm talking about a Series X is $500. I've seen it for $330 to $350. You could have got it all that time. Y'all don't really care. Y'all just want something to complain about. But if you were a fan, if you were really interested in getting it, $730 is some diabolical foolishness. Something less powerful than the PS5 Pro. But it's more expensive than the PS5 Pro. But then if you really want to talk about it, is it really more expensive than the PS5 Pro? Bear with me here. Take a walk with your boy. If you buy a PS5 Pro, that's $700. But it doesn't have a disk drive. That's $80. Now you upwards of $800 plus tax or whatever. Shit, tariffs if they gotta ship it in. But I'm hoping that PlayStation put a bunch of stocks in the warehouses in the US already. So if you spend $730 on the Xbox Series X, I do believe that's the 2 terabyte one. That's not even a 1 terabyte one. The 2 terabyte one. You get 2 terabytes of space, which you don't get on the Pro, I don't believe. And you do have a disk drive in it already. But then there's also a digital Series X as well. I'm not aware of how much that costs. So I mean, this stuff costs money. Like I said before, I understand everybody's frustration. But this is really going to let people know if they're going to either buy the Xbox or they're just going to buy into the system. People are going to be like, yo, I want to play Xbox games, but I do not feel like spending $730 plus on an Xbox. So I guess I'll never play Xbox. But then they have a friend who's educated like me. And it bothers me because people know I'm educated in this world, and they just ask me at the last minute when they could have been helping me plan. But anyway, they get a friend like me, and I say, oh, you don't want to pay $730 plus for an Xbox Series X, or however much a Series X costs? Well, you can just buy into Game Pass because everything is an Xbox. If you have a Samsung TV, this isn't even marketing for them, but if you have a Samsung TV, you got it on there. If you got a computer, you got it on there, play it on the cloud. Hell, if you got a phone or a tablet, you got an Xbox. Play it on the cloud on there. You pay $10 or whatever version package of Game Pass you get a month, and you got access to over 200 games. And even with that, you got EA games on there too. So you might not get Madden right away, but you'll have Madden, and you get access to trials and stuff like Dragon Age. Yeah, you don't want to buy our systems, whatever. Buy into our platform, our subscription service. That's a good talking point I want to bring up from my cousin Rich. He put me onto that, and I thought that was a very, very good point. But I want to say is that I'm very interested in seeing where this is going, because my final thought is we cannot ignore where we are with today's economy. Whether you agree with the presidents of the United States points or the way he moves, whether you like it or not, he is the POTUS. And all of the stuff that we're going through with him, like it or not, we got to deal with it. How we gonna deal with it? Because this is where we live. This is where we are. So we just got to figure out how we gonna navigate our way through this. And a lot of people are probably upset about a lot of these price hikes because it seems very unaffordable. We are in a very terrible place right now. A lot of us don't even make money like that. You know what I'm saying? The average person in the United States makes between maybe about $45,000 and $60,000 in rent, especially here in NYC where I'm at. Rent is absolutely bananas, and you can just afford that, and maybe you can go out and maybe you can just order some food after that, especially if you have children. That's a whole different thing. But a lot of people seem upset because they probably can't afford this. And then these tariffs that's being added on top of it don't make it any easier. The country is probably running out of money, and what's going to happen is you go ahead and charge its citizens. I don't want to, talk too out of line here, but if the funds have been mismanaged, then the staff, like us, we're the ones that's going to have to take the L, not the people at the top. I want to thank y'all so much for rocking with me and watching this podcast style video, watching it, listening, and whether you agree with me or disagree with me, come holler at your boy in the comments. But while you're here, hit that like button and make sure you share this video with people who are like-minded, who might have some ideas that they want to throw in the comments. Follow me on social media. Let's have a healthy dialogue about these things, not a negative dialogue. No trolling. If you don't like something, you can just not like it. You don't have to be mean or callous. Let's have a very polite conversation. We can disagree without disliking each other. So let's be kind to each other. Let's be polite to each other. And if you're going to touch that stove, make sure you got burn cream. This video is finito.